Hello and welcome once again to Behind the Toys. My name is Jacob, aka Jacob's Toys, and in this episode I had the fantastic opportunity of talking to Cal Dodd, who is of course the voice talent behind Wolverine in X-Men the animated series. We discussed what it was like working on that show, as well as some of the memorabilia and toys that he's picked up along the way. So without further ado, let's get straight into that interview with Cal Dodd. Obviously, just like to welcome Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine from X-Men the animated series. Cal, thank you so much for joining me.
You are more than welcome, Jacob. My pleasure. I forgot to put the jacket on. I'm forgetting everything. My name's Cal, I think. Yeah, so far. So far.
Good. It's an amazing jacket.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm hanging out with Jacob, and we're going to spend some time together, Bub. So I want you to listen to the best, the most unbelievable theme song ever played. Ready? Here we go, Bub.
Previously on X-Men.
Love it.
I know. That's me.
There he is. There he is. Amazing. Incredible. Cool. Amazing. Every time. It just doesn't age. It's just such an iconic song, like iconic theme, and just takes you straight back.
It does. It's just...
Yeah. No, so obviously Wolverine has to be one of the most recognizable X-Men characters there is, and also like one of the probably the most produced in regards to kind of action figures and stuff. I mean, like Marvel Legends, which is predominantly what my collection is. I think my last count was around the late 20s, early 30s kind of mark of amount of variations of Wolverine that we've had. Do you have any action figures at all of Wolverine or any kind of toys of Wolverine?
Yeah, I got a bunch of little things, like stuff that I would get mostly at Comic-Cons, because I had nothing before this series, obviously, in '92. And I had the most ridiculous thing I had was, I couldn't believe it. It was just so cool. Do you know what a Pez is? The Pez candy dispenser thing?
Yes.
with Wolverine's head on the top of it. It was one of those things. And I got like these are like everywhere. The pop things, Wolverine, the little ones.
The Funko Pops, yeah.
You know those. And I forget the artist's name. It's just Emily from Frank, you're coming. Thank you for coming to the Comic-Con. I forget where it was, but she makes these little things, you know,
wow.
But piece by piece, little circles.
Amazing.
It's quite amazing. It is amazing. And I think I just got this from the. Also, we have a deck of cards, which I thought was great. You know, of course, Gambit, Cajun, back off, Gumble. This with Marvel, well, of course. This thing.
Oh wow! Wow, yes.
Battle ravaged.
Yes.
Battle ravaged Wolverine.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
And well, you have to have one of these when your nieces and nephews come over. You have to have this. The X-Men coloring book.
Of course.
Yeah, you have to have it. Well, so there. That's the extent of my toys. And I couldn't find the Pez, and I couldn't find the cards. They're just yeah.
Do people buy you, like, is that their kind of go-to present for you then? Is that like Cal, we'll get him something X-Men?
Yeah, a lot of them do, but at the comic, or at the con, they'll come and they'll get something for me to sign, like the people that have these things,
Yeah.
Which in that case they can charge more for them, and then they just give me whatever I want of the toys. So I say, just back the truck up. I got it, Jacob. I have to show you the other. Ouch! The back side of this jacket. Oh man. I got my vaccination, the first vaccination thing 2 months ago, the COVID thing.
Yes, yeah.
And my arm, they put it in the wrong area. They didn't put it in the deltoid muscle. They put it in my bursa, and now I've had nothing but pain for a month and a half, like constant.
The adamantium didn't like push it out? Did it
No, I should have thought of that. See the back. These are this like the cast jacket sort of, and you could put whatever name you wanted on it. But everyone, regardless, had to have this on the back of their jacket. Gambit and Cyclops. Because there was two different colors. This is called Wolverine yellow, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was another. If you wanted X-Men blue, then the leather was blue. So of course, Cyclops didn't want a Wolverine yellow. So it's a pretty boy, teacher's pet. So this is on the back and the name of the production people and everything.
Amazing. Amazing.
His Majesty on the back there.
Of course.
Very cool. Great jacket.
Well, Wolverine was, was one of the crowd favorites. I mean, you've previously said in interviews and stuff that you didn't know who Wolverine was before, obviously working on the animated series. But since the series, he's definitely become much more of a household name. And then, more recently with all the movies and stuff as well. What do you think it is that makes Wolverine so popular? What is it about him that makes him the popular character?
That's a great question, Jacob. And I think it's because he's so different and he's such a loner, and he feels and acts and looks like he's unloved. So people instantly, I think feel really sorry for him. And he's got claws, so that's really cool. Who else has claws? Right away, they love him a lot. But he's and he has a huge heart, which he shows in a lot of the episodes. And his tender side is when some of the episodes where he goes up north, he gets upset with the X-Men or Jean and Cyclops, and so he just takes off and he goes up north to where he was born and stuff. Yep. And he hangs out with the Eskimos, the Inuits, and he just feels so safe and at home because he doesn't have to, put the thing on and the claws or any of that stuff. And those were one of my favorite episodes was that one where it's Sabretooth that eventually tries to blow up the whole place where the Inuit live and stuff.
I remember that one. I do remember that one, actually. I mean, well, I'm cheating a little bit because obviously with them recently coming back onto streaming services and stuff, I've actually sat down and watched it with my children as well, and just being taken back. And the stories are really good. Like they're really,
they're
great stories.
They're excellent stories. This is not a cartoon. It's definitely, we have many discussions about that. It's definitely an animated series, So he just feels at the end of that particular episode, he's sitting out in front of him. And, at one part of that episode, the Indian Eskimos are throwing him up in the air in a blanket. And for me to do that, Wolverine once in 5 years made me laugh. They made me laugh. Like I had to laugh. You have to laugh. I said, he's never laughed. I don't laugh. But he said, you have to, they're throwing you up in the air. And he was like, whoa. And one episode out of 86, whatever, 5 years, it was like, ha, 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 that kind of a laugh as they threw him up in the air, whoa, and then he just sitting out in front beside with the chief, and he's talking to him like he's got his mask and stuff beside him in his bag, duffel bag or whatever, and the chief is telling him, time will come when you will make the own decision when your heart feels good about what you should do to please yourself and to help others. And he says, so take care, my friend. And he walks away. And this episode ends. Wolverine just says, he looks into the camera, or he just looks straight ahead, and so you can tell it's been an impact when the last week with these people. And when he called him friend, Wolverine just says, the last line is, "You called me friend." And that's the episode. Then he grabs his mask and looks at it, and it goes to black. So, you know, that kind of stuff, that's why people love him, I think. And that he does not, I love the fact that he, when I first started doing his voice, I said, oh, this is so like any teen or any teenage or anyone who does not like taking orders from anyone. Like, forget it. They don't know. No, you have, or like, if they have a job they don't like the boss because you don't do this. In a job that I had when I was after high school, I was in a CA, chartered accountant's office, on course to be a chartered accountant. When you're the junior member, you have to shovel the sidewalk, you have to do everything. And you know, a senior partners would say, "Here, Cal, go to Wilco, Woolworths, whatever, and get me some diapers my wife wants. Here's the list." What? What? No. And he said, no. This ain't happening. Which, of course, he would say, and I just loved him because when they said, "Wolverine, come on, we've got to go. We've got to rescue some people. We've got work to do." And that's, of course, Cyclops. He says, "I go where I want to go." Yeah, man, I love that. And most people's favorite line. "I go where I want to go, bub." And he just walks away from him. Like, nobody tells me what to do. And that's what I think people love about him too, is that he doesn't take crap from anyone, and he has a huge heart, and he just says, like, goes where he wants to go. So, I'm forget it. So that's one of some stuff that I think that why they like him.
Amazing. He's definitely been one of my favorite X-Men characters, you know, throughout the time of reading the comic books, watching the show. Also, you know, when it comes to collecting the figures as well. I mean, we've seen so many different variations of him, as I said, just in the Marvel Legends line, which obviously is a more modern line. But even just in that line, we've seen a whole bunch of figures recently been released that mirror the kind of look of the characters on the show. And one of the biggest requests from, you know, collectors and stuff is that they want like the animated version of the characters. I mean, this is the Wolverine that we have, probably the closest look to him, which is the one out of the it was actually a single release that came in a wave where you got to build a Juggernaut figure, not the animated Juggernaut, unfortunately, but so they have released kind of versions of the characters. There's still a couple of characters like, you know, people like Morph and Avalanche that we haven't had in figure form, that collectors are just sort of crying out for and sort of saying, you know, give us the animated version of these characters. You mentioned obviously a couple of. I didn't like the. I don't like the color. There's some earlier stuff before the '92 series. The color of his outfit, which was a rusty sort of brownish color, rusty, like light rusty color, tan colored sort of thing. And I didn't like that. This, for example, the thing you just showed me, but this is the artist that did the animation, the very first picture, the very first cell, CEL, from the animated people, they presented to their characters that they were doing. So I got, of course, Wolverine. And the very first drawing of him before they released the first episode. So, and that's what this is. So I took a picture of it off the actual cell, and took a picture of it off the cell, and then I take it to Comic-Cons with me, and they just love this picture. It's beautiful. I mean, obviously, I mean that's such an iconic look for him, you know. And as I said, I mean,
that's what that looks
form,
like.
It's pretty much exactly the same.
Exactly.
Obviously, in the comic book, he's had, you know, so many variations. I mean, even to the extent where they've only just revealed there's a Wolverine box set that's coming out with 5 various villains. And the Wolverine that they've put in there is a shirtless Wolverine, because we haven't got a Wolverine with his top off, you know. So they put out so many versions, but the version that everybody kind of calls for is that yellow and blue, you know, animated look, because he had such a long run with that in the comic books as well. But that, when you think of Wolverine, that's what a lot of people obviously go to. Aside from
I was amazed that we had to stop doing Comic-Cons a year and a half ago when COVID hit.
Yes.
And just as we were finishing, they were just making there was never, and I couldn't believe, well, there was never any pop-up for these pops of Gambit or Rogue. And they were like, they were announcing this big thing. They finally had Gambit and Rogues in pop toys, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I found that odd why they wouldn't have those two characters, like, you know, pop
it's
toys.
Bizarre. I mean, Rogue, for example, I mean, she had a character, a figure in Marvel Legends form, whether you're aware or not. And she only had one version that had a Rogue.
Oh, okay.
And there was only one version that was released. It was released at the same time as this particular one I showed you as well. And it was in the colors, in the costume similar to the one in the animated series.
Right.
And the aftermarket price for it went crazy because it was such not an exclusive. I mean, it was rolled out the same as everything else, but you know, collectors didn't buy it at the time and stuff, and it became such a high-priced item that they just recently re-released another version of her with the bigger hair, like in the cartoon and everything in the animated series. And again, that one's just gone crazy. So, speaking of a couple of the other characters there, who was your favourite? Do you think to interact with on the show?
To work with as a character on the actual series, to their character
as the character, not the actor, because you know you might have your favorites as the actors, but which character did you enjoy interacting with the most as Wolverine?
I would say Beast. I loved because he's very calm and he always had, you know, he was, you know, obviously very smart. He always spouting poetry and stuff because they're just two opposite people, but they joked a lot, and Beast had a lot of patience with Wolverine, and like he would just say Wolverine would just rip through a door because they're looking for something, trying to get through, and it's locked, and he rips through the door with the claws, and then Beast goes, Logan, the keys. He takes the keys. He said, and Logan's response is, so I'll buy him a new door. and Beast basically just shakes his head and goes, such an impetuous youth. You know, that's something like that. I just loved working with him because, of course, he didn't like Cajun. Wolverine really didn't like any of the guys he had to work with. Like, he didn't like any of them. But he, you know, Rogue, you know, it's a girl, so whatever. He had no luck whatsoever with women. But he just couldn't do it. Everyone he got, it was just, they would leave him or just, they'd turn into someone else and try and kill him. Jean, forget it. She married Cyclops. Then it just broke his heart. It was all over after that.
Of course.
So Beast and who else? My Nightcrawler, but he was only in like basically one episode. But
he was, yeah.
So and yeah, Beast, Gambit. I didn't know much. He was just like, out of the way, Gumbo, or back off, Cajun. He was like a young punk to Wolverine, you know, pretty boy. That was, of course, with Cyclops. No, Beast, I would have to say, and episodes that I did with Bishop. I loved working with the guy and with Bishop and Cable.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, some excellent.
I like those two guys. I liked it because Bishop. Oh, they had a great back and forth jibing each other thing. Wolverine and Bishop, because Bishop was a young dude and you know, younger, because Wolverine, of course, is like 120 or something. and Bishop called Wolverine. You know, because he would be amazed. He'd say like, "Not bad, old." Not I'm doing. Bishop would say, "Not bad, old man." He called him old man all the time, and of course, Wolverine called him, "Yeah, that's right, rookie. Just try it. Just try it. Bring it on. I haven't even started yet, pal." Rookie. I just loved it because there's just a lot of, and Wolverine. Wolverine had the funniest lines, and with those kind of people, they came out all those funny quips and stuff. You know, like climbing the mountain with Captain America, and it was during this. They was one of those episodes where they went back. I think it was called Old Soldiers. And they went back, and it was during the Second World War, and they're climbing up. They're climbing up a cliff, and it's the two of them scaling it. He's looked at Captain America's outfit, which is like quite, you know, bright and stars and stripes and stuff. And he said, he's climbing up, and this is how stupid and how funny it was. They're climbing up, and why would Wolverine in this, you know, action-packed episode, climbing up, the two of them, turns to him and says, What's that gig up made out of? What's it made of? Your outfit? What's that thing you're wearing made out of? And he says, whatever his answer was, he goes, takes a few more steps with his claws. He says, it's got to itch. It's got to itch. I just like, oh my God, this guy's funny. He was just too, he was just that, you know, that's why people loved him. Because he would say the coolest and then dumbest things. Oh, then one of the dumbest moments was the very first episode, or the second. I can't remember. It was the first or second. I think it was the first, when they find Jubilee, and Jubilee comes to the home, and they're looking for her because she went out looking to explore Jubilee. You know, she's just brand new to the mansion, and so all of them, Beast, Gambit, Rogue, Jean, they're all out looking for her. Cyclops. And Wolverine stayed behind to check whatever out, because he doesn't go with them anywhere again. And he's up at a tree looking down at them. And he says, wow, you sure make an awful lot of noise, because they're trying to be quiet. And he drops to the ground, and they say, Cyclops, did you find her? He says to him, no, the scent went cold outside the mansion. And then he just adds this. This is one of the first episodes I ever did. And after I said it, I just burst out laughing. I said, who is this effing guy? This guy is so cool. Because this makes no sense. This is a non sequitur. He said, no, the scent went cold outside the mansion. And he just looks down and he says, got bit by a dog too. What? I got bit by a dog too. Like, who asked you? What? You fucking, what are you talking about? You got adamantium, you got bit by a dog? Did you itch it?
Yes, I'm going to have to rewatch that now. I don't remember hearing it. I'm going to have to rewatch that.
It's so quiet, and he looks down when he said, no, the scent went cold outside the mansion. Got bit by a dog too. Oh yeah, first episode. I mean,
going back and rewatching, because obviously I watched them, back when they were released, and then they were quite difficult to obtain on DVD, and so they popped up every now and again, and obviously now they're on streaming services, and I've gone back and watched them all, and watched them with my children and stuff, and I forgot how much the stories kind of paralleled a lot of the comic books, and obviously they were changed for television and for episode format, and there was a bit of continuity error towards the end of it, wasn't it, where it kind of started and ended, but it really parallels a lot of the stuff that you would read in the comic books, and I think that's what made it part of what made it so appealing as a fan, because I recognized these characters and these episodes and these storylines, and as you say, being an animated show as opposed to a cartoon where it had a real storyline format, and you had to kind of come back and see what happened, and where that story was going. What do you think your favorite storyline was? I know we mentioned the episode where he kind of deserted, but was there a particular storyline that really stuck out as a favorite? They did that purposely. Like, they would not stray from the original comic books, like the whole thing, because they were told, let's make up your own. No. These are fans that have been with us forever to reading comics. No. They will agree. You have to be true to the comics, and they were, and they were adamant about that. So the writers and all that stuff. So kudos to them, because it was just wonderful. My favorite, like I mentioned his name earlier, was one of my, if not my favorite episode, is what's his name? The purple. Why every time I try and remember this character's name, Nightcrawler.
I mentioned. Thank you.
Nightcrawler.
It happens all the time. Comic-Cons and everything. No one else. Everybody else I remember, but that guy, the purple guy thing. Nightcrawler.
Yes.
Yeah. Because this is the first episode that I'd ever heard them discuss religion or anything in any of the episodes. And I loved his voice. I loved the way, though. this is all only bricks and mortar, Wolverine. This can all be put together like a man's soul and body. Body cannot be if it is destroyed. This is only bricks and mortar. We can build it again. Where's your God now? Like that stuff. And I had to say, when I went to grade 9, 10, and 11, which is high school here, I went to a junior seminary, a boarding school. My parents dropped me off at 12 years of age. Said, "See ya." and I was in boarding school. These boys, like kids, we all think we're going to be priests. So this was like mass every day for 3 years, every day. Yeah.
Wow.
And very impactful on my life. I left after 3 years. I didn't go to, obviously. My wife, I forgot to tell you, Don, I'm a priest. So for me, where's your God? Don't talk to me about your God. Where's your God now? Look what he did here. It is only bricks and mortar, Logan. See with different eyes. See with different eyes. And he gives them quotes out of the Bible and gives them the book. And I've said, I'm doing the voices. Where's this going to end up? And because I loved his character too, Nightcrawler. But it's just very peaceful and especially with Wolverine, and never blew up and never got excited about anything. It was just really cool to have a calming figure like that around him and watch him, because he just wanted to do something. Don't talk to me about right. Where's your God now? Calmed him down.
I remember that.
And gave him the book, the Bible, with excerpts marked. So then it flashes back. He's now back in France, where Cajun, Gambit, and Rogue are out on a patio having tea or coffee or whatever they're doing. And they have a little bit of a sniff, and she gets up and is leaving and walking down the street, and a newspaper hits her in the face, and it's like the church has been rebuilt, this church. So she walks into the huge, humongous church, and you see her from the back, and up at the front on the altar, just in front of the altar, is Wolverine on his knees reading one of the excerpts. That was so weird to have to do that, because he's not mad at anyone. He's just, and I will hold thee close to my heart, and like stuff that's coming out of it. I'm like, whoa. And so it was a weird one to voice, because that's the way he would talk. He's not angry. So it's just, and I love thy neighbor as thyself, and whatever he was reading. And then they just turned, and then his lips start quivering, Wolverine. So they go off him, because he's about to maybe have a tear or something. And they go back, and the camera goes by Rogue, who's at the back of the church, and there's a tear coming down her eye from seeing what she just witnessed Wolverine do. And then it goes to black. And that's one of my favorite episodes, that Nightcrawler one. Nice. And the other one is the Old Soldiers one, that with Captain America, but that starts with three old soldiers, like old guys who have aged because normal people do, but Wolverine didn't really age. And Wolverine's looking down at a tombstone, and it's got the name of a guy that he said, "I never paid you back for what you did to me," whatever, you double crosser, whatever. Excuse me. And the three guys are like, "Hey, I don't know, that looks like old, what's his name, that when they were in WW2 with." And the three guys are like, "Hey, how you doing, buddy?" And he says, "Something I can help you with, bub." He turns to them, and they said, "Oh, sorry. Well, you look a lot like him, though," because he hadn't really aged, Wolverine, that much anyway. But these guys were like 75 or something. These guys, and then it goes. That's where they go back in time, in Germany, and it's World War II. And I love what he had to wear too. He had like outfits. He was in black, just total black, and he didn't have claws. He didn't even have the claws yet at that point, because Captain America gave him something that looked like claws to go up the mountain. And he said, that was another line I thought of. He said, "Wow, I kind of like these things," which is very funny. What a funny line, because it's way back before he had them. These become useful.
Fantastic. I remember that one as well.
Yeah, I love that.
Seeing Captain America was great.
Yeah, yeah. Those two are fantastic. And it gets, he had those great lines with Captain America. Like when he throws that, Captain America throws his shield, whatever. And he said, that would make a great game. But it's just great lines. Great lines. So those are my two favorites.
So I mean, obviously, the show was hugely popular. Ran for the years that it did, and there was tons of merchandise pushed out. That kind of went with the show directly, and obviously the comic books as well. Do you have a particular piece that you remember as your favorite piece of merchandise that you saw that was like Wolverine based?
My favorite was, and I bought it for my nephews, and it was a Wolverine. I'm not going to say doll because it was like more like a robot, but it was a big toy Wolverine, and you pushed. There was a button in the middle by his stomach or whatever that you pushed, and he would say like, "Back off, bub." My voice, because I had to pre-record my voice for the toy. For Toy Biz, like whoever made it. I was doing a lot of commercials for them. Toy Biz, who were making all the toys. And so I was the voice in this, and I said, my God, I've made it. I'm inside a toy. my voice is inside a toy, which is that's really amazing. It was like, all his famous lines, I go where I want to go, or like, sneak. You just push. And they were like, they'd be like 6 years of age, my little nephews, 6 and 8, and they would push the button, and then it would say like, "Back off, bub," and they would look at him, and then they'd look at their uncle, go like, "What?" Yeah, that's what I said. They just didn't get it. It's like when they see you on TV, the same thing would happen, and they're watching you on TV, and then they turn around to see you on the couch with them, like not the animated series. Like I was on I had a TV show for 5 years, like singing and all that kind of stuff, and they would see me, and they would look, the way the kids, and then they'd look back at me to make sure, well, how does this work? How can you be here and be on that TV at the same time? And nonsense. Amazing. So that toy, I mean, obviously that was my favorite, gave me the best pleasure, fun. No, I don't have any other favorites.
But to hear your voice in a toy must be, that must be something.
It is. It was unbelievable. It was. No, I don't.
Talking about the voice, obviously, we'll kind of bring this to a close on the voice. The voice of Wolverine, because obviously, I mean, you've mentioned that you didn't know who Wolverine was beforehand, which is understandable. If you wasn't somebody that read comic books, it was not necessarily a character that you would have come across. I know that they did a one-off back in, I think it was 89, animation called Pride of X-Men. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah. What do I know about that? 89.
They did a one-off animated sort of episode of X-Men, but it didn't go anywhere. And was that the Australian one? Yes. And I was going to say, and the voice was Australian. And
no.
It was famously, I've read that one of the things that the production really disliked about the show was Wolverine having an Australian accent.
Oh no, it was laughable. It was just stupid.
It just didn't fit. It didn't fit. It wasn't.
No.
So how did you? I mean, I know you've talked about the voice before, but where did it come from? Because it's perfect for Wolverine. I'm sure most fans would explain. But where did it come from? Where did you kind of get that idea from?
Well, when I went in for the audition, they mentioned one name. They mentioned, well, who do you think? They showed me this picture, any picture of Wolverine that they had, and I looked at it and I said, "Oh, cool," because I was brought up in a tough fishing town in Canada. We came straight from Ireland to Port Dover, Ontario, and it's a tough, huge, beautiful fishing tugs, that kind of thing, like a big fishing town. Anyway, I heard some of this. So first they gave me these lines, And I said, wow, very cool. I like this dude. And they said, well, we just think along the lines of Clint Eastwood. And I went, Clint Eastwood? Because, you know, they're showing me pictures of, like, well, not unlike that shot, like, and not this one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like, so I said, okay. And the first line, and he said, so think Clint Eastwood. And I said, okay. Because there's a scene that they stole from Eastwood's movie, and it's now my favorite Wolverine line. I'll do it for you later. It's, I know what you're thinking. Clint Eastwood, like, he's got the gun on the kitchen. Says, I know what you're thinking, punk. You know, that whole scene, which I love doing that in Wolverine's voice because he got to do it. So I you know, you're gritty, gravelly. So but he wasn't really that gravelly, Clint Eastwood. There was gravel, but not as much as I put into Wolverine. So I did that, and they mentioned other names that made no sense. Ward Bond, Steve McQueen. I like the reference to Steve McQueen because I loved him as an actor, and he was always like Wolverine, very quiet, very into himself. Never said, only spoke when he felt like speaking. And I just like that about him because he was just very to himself. And that's the names they mentioned. And so I put in more gravel, and what's his name? Oh, I don't know if you've ever heard of Wolfman Jack.
Yes, yeah.
Used to be a disc jockey, famous disc jockey, and heavily into music. And there's a show here in 70s or 80s, something called Midnight Special. And excuse me. And he was the host. And this is exactly the way he talked. And he was like, all right, baby. Wolfman Jack Mama coming after you, baby. Like that sort of voice. So I put that in and pulled it back a bit with, thinking Clint and all that stuff. So they gave me the line to read. And the first line I ever read as him or attempted in the audition was, all right, you egg-sucking piece of gutter trash. You always did like pushing around people smaller than you. Well, I'm smaller. Push me.
Bravo. Fantastic. Amazing.
Yeah, I have to put the jacket on to do these sounds. Yeah, just they said they all at once, because there are guys in New York and LA and in Toronto here, because they all the talent. But I don't know if you knew that, Jacob, but all the talent, the voices in X-Men are all Canadian. All of them.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were all Canadian.
Every one of us.
Wow.
Yeah. Everyone. Beast, Cyclops, God love him. He was a really good friend. Cyclops, Norm Spencer died a year ago, if that long ago. It was just really sad. But yeah, all Canadians. And what was I getting at? They were all Canadian. I forget what you asked, but I was getting to this line. God, I hate that. There was something I was getting at about Norm and those people.
You were saying that you were all in the room together.
Pardon?
You said that you were all in the room together.
No. The guys from New York and LA. That's where I got detoured, because I said, by the way, we're all Canadian. They flew in from LA and New York because they're the Marvel people, and the writers and the director, etc. And our engineer, who's just recording us. And so I read that one line, and they just all went, okay. Okay. They said, like, all righty, give them more lines. Brought out more lines. So they brought up my favorite line. Well, so now I just don't need to read anything. Just like that. And they said, that's great. Just, because I'd heard all that stuff before, egg sucker piece of gutter trash. Well, not that exact line, but you whatever, just before a fight. And so this one, and the scene, and this is Hellfire Club guard. A Hellfire Club guard is inside this room that Wolverine breaks through, and he's got a gun facing right at Wolverine, and Wolverine just comes in the door with, of course, these. It says to him, and he's sort of very calm while he's doing it, and as he's walking towards him. I know what you're thinking, punk. Question is, can I get Wolverine before he turns me into shish kebab with those claws? Well, bub, seeing as how these claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known, and can slice through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter, buddy, you gotta ask yourself, do I feel lucky? And they all just went, okay. Thank you. You're done. Get out of here. They phoned me the next day. And yeah, would you like to, we'd like you to be our Wolverine. I said, well, I'd love to do that. And away we went for 5 years.
Amazing. Did you leave the audition wanting the role? Like after you had done the reading, did you leave and think, yeah, actually I want that. That's a gig I want.
Did I what?
Did you leave the audition sort of thinking, yeah, I want that now? That's the role I want. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
you fell in love with a.
Oh yeah, I just said, I need more lines. Give me more. They just kept feeding me lines after that, you know. And it's just, you know, I go where I want to go. Back off, bub. All of them, and I was just. They said, "This is wonderful. Thank you so much." So you know, of course, away we went. I forget. I'm getting lost in track here. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, and yeah.
Thank you, Cal. Thank you for this. This is, you know, thanks ever so much for taking the time out to.
Oh, my pleasure again. Anytime, you know, Jacob.